If you haven't come across my main channel yet, here it is, Siddhi Studio, where I put up entertainment and vlog content, and right now you're watching Two Truths with Siddhi. So today we are starting with the history taking for general medicine and general surgery, which are the subjects of third year dentistry, and you need to be very thorough with them. So getting right into it, the very first thing that we come across in history taking is the demographic details of the patient. Starting with the name of the patient. Now, along with telling you what to write, I'll also let you know why you need to write those things, like what is the importance of those things, because you will be asked these questions several times. So starting with, why do you think you need to know the name of the patient? Number one, it builds a rapport with the patient. Everyone likes to be called by their own name. You just connect more when someone is addressing you with your own name rather than just randomly calling out to you, right? Along with that, it is important for the identification, of course, and the documentation purposes as well. Now coming to the age of the patient. Age is important because there are many diseases which are prevalent or more common in a particular age group. So that helps us in diagnosing a case as well as planning the treatment. Another important thing is the dosage of the medications. They differ according to age as well. Because obviously the medications and the dosage of the medications, they will all differ with age. Of course, weight plays a very important role in deciding the dosage of medications, but age plays a good factor as well as on deciding the medications. So age is very important. Coming to the gender. Again, some diseases are more prevalent in a particular gender than the other. So that also helps us in diagnosing. Along with that, in case of females, their menstrual history plays a role. The pregnancy, the lactating period, everything plays a role, a major and a very important role in deciding the treatment plan, the diagnosis, and what medications are supposed to be given at that particular time and which are not. Because if you guys have already, if you guys are in the third year, you have done your second year, so you know many medications are teratogenic, that is you cannot give them during the course of pregnancy. So that is why gender plays a very important role. Now when we come to address, of course address is important for documentation purposes, etc. But another major reason why you need to know address is that there are many diseases which are endemic to a particular area, like the sickle cell belts of India. People residing in the sickle cell belts of India are at high probability of developing sickle cell anemia. So you have to plan your investigations accordingly. Another example is in Orissa, we have a fluoride belt in Angul. That means the fluoride content in the water in that particular area is high, due to which in the developing stages, when younger children consume that water, they have a high risk of developing fluorosis, which is teeth discolorations. So there are a lot of things you get to know from where you get to know when you know the region from where the patient is coming from, and also the cultures practiced in that region, the habits. There are a lot of things which you can derive, which you can know when you know the address of the patient. So you have to actually, when you are taking a case history, you are just thinking superficially, ठीक है address है, ये लिख दो address हो गया. No, understand why do you need to know the address? Understand that how is it relevant or how is it helpful in you diagnosing the case, right? Then coming to occupation. Now why do you need to know the occupation of the patient? Because there are many occupational hazards that the patient might be facing while practicing the occupation. Now what are the occupational hazards and where are they found? For example, patients working in industries, they are exposed to a lot of smoke, dust particles, etc., which can lead to lung disorders, which can lead to lung problems, chronic bronchitis. Patients working in asbestos related industries have this particular disease, asbestosis, right? So there are many diseases pertaining to the particular occupation that the patient is practicing. Patients involved in heavy lifting, like in construction workers and all, they're more susceptible to develop hernias, right? And even if when you're posted in your general surgery posting, when you are seeing a hernia case and you ask the patient about their occupation, most likely their occupation would have something to do with heavy lifting, strenuous work, etc. Patients having varicose veins, they are bound to have jobs where they have to do long hours of standing work. What you are actually trying to get from the history is what are the daily practices and the daily habits of the patient which might be responsible to the disease they're suffering from. Because the the idea is not to only treat the disease, the idea is also to remove the causative agent. So if a person is suffering from chronic bronchitis and working in an industry where there's a lot of smoke, now obviously when he goes back to that, no matter how many medications you prescribe, no matter how many bronchodilators you give, the symptoms are just going to worsen, because the etiology is still there. So you need to make the patient aware about it, aware about what is causing the disease, because there are many patients who will not know what is the causative reason of the disease. So that you can derive while taking the history. So history taking is a very important thing. Now coming next, we have religion. Why do we need religion? Because there are a lot of practices that pertain to certain religions, like circumcision. So you can get to know a lot of details by knowing the religion and the religionary practices that the patient follows. Up next, we come to the chief complaints of the patient. Now these are the primary complaints or the main reason why the patient has stepped into the hospital. That is the main complaint of the patient, and that has to be written in the patient's own words. If the patient has difficulty in swallowing, you will write the patient has difficulty in swallowing for these many days. I'll explain the chronology in a few seconds. You will not write dysphagia. Dysphagia means difficulty swallowing. Now that's a medical term. You will not write that. You will write it purely in patient's words. Now coming to the chronology, the complaints need to be arranged in a chronological order, starting from the first symptom which the patient noticed has to be written first, and then the next, and then the next, and mostly maximum 3 to 4 is taken. So it has to be in a chronological order, starting from the first symptom which the patient noticed. Now, while writing the chief complaints, use the word for, like for how many days. For example, patient complains of having difficulty in swallowing for 12 days, difficulty breathing for 10 days, weakness or breathlessness for 8 days. You see how I arranged it in 12, 10 and 8? You have to arrange it in that order. Now why is that important? The chronology, it basically determines whether a disease is acute, subacute, chronic, in its progressive stage or not, and it is the exact pattern and format which has to be followed. There is no exception to that. The first complaint is written first, followed by the following complaints. Alright? And if you see a patient telling you a number of random things and you are not clear about what is the main thing, then clearly ask the patient, is this the reason why you came to the hospital? Give me the first reason why you came to the hospital. What was the problem that you faced for which you decided to come to the hospital? That is the primary complaint. So, and whatever that complaint is, for how many days that complaint is there, for how many days he has been noticing that symptom, then chronologically you have to arrange the number of complaints. Alright? Now coming to the history of the presenting illness. Now what is that about? It is basically the chief complaints elaborated or explained about what is actually happening, what is the site of the pain, what is the site of the discomfort, what is the onset, what is the duration. Now all of these things comes under a table called Socrates table of, or like Socrates assessment of pain. So it's like every individual letter of Socrates stands for a term. I'll come to that in a few seconds. For now, you need to understand that history of the presenting illness is the illness described in detail, right? So how do we start about it? Now first let us know what Socrates stand for. The S in Socrates stands for the site of pain. The O stands for the onset of pain. The C stands for the character of pain. R stands for radiation of the pain. A stands for the associated symptoms. T stands for the time or the duration of pain. E stands for the elevating or relieving factors. And S stands for the severity. Now what does all of this mean? Site of the pain, that is understandable. Where exactly the pain is happening. Suppose a patient tells you there is pain in his abdomen. He will tell you पेट में दर्द है. अब पेट का कौन सा जगह? Because the abdomen has 9 quadrants. Now the patient doesn't know that of course, but he can point and show you कि दाहिने तरफ ज़्यादा हो रहा है, दाहिने ऊपर तरफ, या the center, या below the umbilicus. So that is the site of the pain. And then the onset. Now coming to the onset of pain. What do you ask in that? Does the pain have a sudden onset? Is the onset gradual? Is there intermittent onset? So what is the onset of that pain, right? Then the character of pain. Is it a sharp shooting pain? Is it a dull aching pain? What kind of pain? Like, you basically ask the patient to describe the pain, because in the description of the pain a lot of things can be understood and diagnosed, right? Then comes the radiation. Now what do you mean by radiation? Suppose chest में pain है, is it radiating to the arm, to the left arm? That is how you ask about the radiation. एक जगह पे पेन है, the patient complains of the pain. Now whether the pain is radiating or not, radiating as in radiating to different parts of the body or not, that is what you want to know under this heading. Then we come to associated symptoms. Along with that pain which the patient is complaining of, the primary pain, is there any other symptom that is associated with it? That is what you want to know there. Then for T, that is time, the duration, the time or the duration of the pain. Now for how long does the pain remain? Right, that is what you want to know there. Then E, elevating factors or relieving factors. Does the pain increase while you're sleeping, while you're standing, while you're sitting? So all these things come under the elevating factors. Then the S for the severity of the pain. Now that I've understood Socrates, what other things come under the history of presenting illness? Now suppose the patient complains about fever. What all things do you need to ask about it? Whether the fever is recurring throughout the day, whether it is consistently present throughout the day, या फिर बीच बीच में बहुत ज़्यादा आ जा रहा है then कम हो जा रहा है, या फिर बीच बीच में ज़्यादा आ रहा है and then it completely vanishes, the temperature. You need to know all these things. And another thing that you need to ask in fever is what temperatures does it reach if they have measured it. If they have not measured it, then ask them to describe the body temperature in terms of the heat. Upon doing that, you can classify the fever into the types and grades of fever, whether it is remittent, continuous or intermittent, etc. Then we come on to another element of HOPI, that is history of presenting illness, that is negative history taking. Now that is very important to match the patient's complaints with the body's systems. For example, a patient complains of chest pain and breathlessness. That can be due to the CV system, or like due to disorders in the CV system or the respiratory system. Now you need to ask questions in order to distinct it and relate it to one particular system, right? Are you able to get my point? The patient is complaining of a chest pain and breathlessness, and you're doubting it can be due to some respiratory distress or disorders or some problem in lungs, or it can be due to a cardiovascular system problem, the heart. Right, now you have to ask questions in such a way that you will be clear that this symptoms that the patient is complaining of is particular to this system, either the cardiovascular or the respiratory. Now what do? Suppose my patient complains of chest pain and breathlessness. What is the first thing that I ask them? That do they have any cough? Do they have any developing any signs of sputum with cough, or the breathlessness that is happening? Is it happening in association to exertion? Is it happening normally? You have to ask these things. Now, why do I ask about cough? If my patient is saying that yes, he has cough, yes, he has fever, then I would point my mind towards the respiratory system, right? Fever hai, cough hai, it could be due to bacterial infections, pneumonia, etc., etc. I'm not getting deeper into that right now. I'm explaining you the history taking skill. So that is how, so you ask questions to rule out a system, right? Now if my patient has no cough, no signs of any lung associated problem, then you start thinking about cardiovascular system. Okay, heart related ho sakta hai. Then you ask, the pain is radiating to the left arm or not? The breathlessness that is happening, is it happening on exertion? Now time, onset, duration, ये सब तो आपने पहले से पूछ लिया होगा. Then you put together all of these elements to relate it to one particular system of the body. That is the magic of a good history taking skill. Then coming to the past history. Now according to the book, it's very clearly written here, the past history should include all events since infancy. Doesn't matter if the patient is not putting importance to that event, you need to know what has happened. So you have to ask about the past history of the patient. What all diseases had he suffered from in the past? Had he taken any treatment for it? If yes, then what? What were the medications, etc. Then another very important thing that comes under past history are the comorbidities of the patient. The blood pressure, the diabetes, any conditions of epilepsy, any thyroid disorders, any sort of malignancy, tuberculosis. You have to ask all these things if it is positive for any of the comorbidities or not. And while you are writing about this in your paper or in your sheet, you have to write the particular comorbidity and yes or no. Do not write no past history. Faculties and teachers, they'll get agitated by it. Believe me. You can write no history of diabetes, no history of high blood pressure, no history of epilepsy, no history of tuberculosis. Write it loud and clear. Do not write no past history and give the paper to a faculty, because they'll not appreciate it. Because that is not what is supposed to be appreciated either. You have to write things clearly. Now there are a lot many things written in the book. Obviously, if I tell everything according to the book, this video will never end. So the only purpose of you is not to watch a video and consider everything done. I'm giving you a basic mind map of how it is supposed to be done, and the details you can obviously refer to the book. And the most important part, practice will make improvement. You have to go into the ward, you have to take history, you have to practice, you have to present it in the class. You have to practice presenting it. At the end of this video, I'll tell you how to present the history, because the examination part we'll do in another video. Since I'm doing the history part in this video, I'll summarize the history part only. And then when we do the examination, I'll summarize the history as well as the examination. Alright? So you have to go out there, you have to take histories from patients, you have to present it in the class. That's how you will increase your confidence. Right? And that's how you'll know how to talk to patients, how to connect with them in a way that they will tell everything truthfully to you, that they will not have any fear or anxiety while talking to you, they'll not hide anything from you. How do you ensure that? Only with practice. Alright? Now coming on to the family history. What do you ask in these? The comorbidities that you ask the patient about, you ask whether these comorbidities are present in the patient's parents or not, in the patient's family or not. You ask about all these things, and then there also you'll have to write clearly no family history of diabetes, no family history of blood pressure. If it is there, then write family history of diabetes, or no, it's better if you write patient's father has diabetes, patient's mother has diabetes, has blood pressure, epilepsy, whatever, the tuberculosis, thyroid, all these things which have a hereditary role to play. It needs to be written down on your sheet. After that, we come to the personal history of the patient. In personal history, you want to know the details about the patient. So you ask about what diet does the patient follow, whether it is a mixed Indian diet or whether it is a vegetarian diet. Now, tell me one thing that you can derive directly upon knowing the diet of the patient, obviously pertaining to what the patient is complaining of. I'll give you an example. So, if a patient is complaining of weakness, tiredness, breathlessness, and you have done the examination and you have found pallor, and you know that the patient has a vegetarian diet, now the things connect. It might be vitamin B12 deficient anemia, right? Why? Because vitamin B12 is sourced from meat, from non-vegetarian food. So if the patient is a pure vegetarian or completely vegetarian or hasn't had any non-veg food for like 10 or 20 years and is complaining of symptoms of breathlessness, weakness, you can see pallor, and you see the paleness, and you know that the patient has a vegetarian diet, the thing that clicks in your mind is maybe vitamin B12 deficient anemia. After that, you ask about the appetite of the patient. Is the appetite increased? Is the appetite normal, or has it reduced post the appearance of the symptoms? Right? Then you ask about the sleep habits of the patient, because many patients you will see will complain of not being able to have or take proper sleep or proper rest because of the pain, etc. So you need to ask about that as well. Then the bladder and bowel movements. Of course, is the bladder and bowel movements normal, or are they constipated, or are they not able to pass urine? You need to have information about all these things. After that, you need to know about the habits and addictions of the patient. So you need to ask very clearly and ask the patient to answer very clearly also, because many patients will try to hide these things. So you have to ask very clearly whether they have any habit of smoking, are they addicted to alcohol, do they chew pan or gutka, or do they have any sort of tobacco related habits or not. You need to ask them very clearly, and once they say that yes they have, then you need to ask the amount or the number. If they are a smoker, then how many cigarettes per day into how many years. How many years as in since how many years they're taking, right? So, and if alcohol, then the amount, the frequency. You need to ask all these things. After that, you need to ask about the allergy history. Does the patient have any allergies to any sort of food, any drug allergies, etc.? If it is a female, you have to take the menstrual history. Is the menstrual cycle normal? Is it irregular? Have they reached their menopause? All the details you have to very clearly ask. Now that we are clear with the basics of history taking, let's learn how to summarize the history while you're presenting it. And while summarizing the history, if you have done the examination, you have to put it along with it also. But now since we have covered only the history part, we'll summarize the history, and it has to be within 3 to 4 lines. So how do you summarize the entire list of things into 3 to 4 lines is what we are going to learn now. Now let's suppose the name of the patient is XYZ, 30 years old, male. Suppose all these things, alright? Like whatever I tell right now, just suppose. Just get the format. So when you present, you go like, my patient, Mr. XYZ, 30-year-old male residing in Ganjam district of Odisha, a farmer by occupation, came to the OPD with a chief complaint of, and then you start with the chief complaints. For example, my patient is complaining of fever, headache and vomiting. So I'll go like, my patient came to the OPD with the chief complaint of fever for 10 days, headache for 10 days and vomiting for 5 days. Now another thing, okay, while I'm explaining the summary, I'll just deviate sometimes to explain you the certain points and aspects, so make sure you're not including that within the summary. The summary is very crisp and short. So if the patient is complaining of abdominal pain, you need to ask whether there is vomiting or not, because sometimes the patient might forget to mention. But you need to know for every system of our body, for every organ system, अगर कुछ भी disease होता है, then what are the symptoms that can be present and what are the symptoms that you need to ask and get it confirmed from the patient, because the patient might forget to mention, and at the end of the day he will not be responsible for anything. You have to make the diagnosis, so you need to ask the questions. You need to ऊपर पढ़ के questions पूछो, because patients भूलते हैं बोलने के लिए, ठीक है? And when you come to present the history of presenting illness, you have to use this line, my patient was apparently alright these many days back, these many years back, or these many months back. You have to ask that to the patient. I mean, you know it from the history that I have already taken from the chief complaint. That's why you need to know the chronology, right? So suppose my patient was apparently alright 2 months back. So I will present it as, my patient was apparently alright 2 months back, after which he started seeing the symptoms of whatever he has complained of. You say or write all of those things. Then whatever the patient has complained of, you go to the Socrates formula for that, or like the Socrates pattern for that. The site of the complaint, the site of the symptom, the onset, the character of the pain if there is pain, then radiation if there is pain. You get the point, right? So you present it in that format. Basically, the history of presenting illness is now done. After the HOPI, you come to the past history, in which you clearly say, my patient has a past history of diabetes for these many years, for these many months, or whatever, whenever the patient has told you, and then any other comorbidities like blood pressure, high blood pressure, epilepsy, whatever you have taken in the HOPI, those things you present clearly. Alright, and then for family history, same thing. My patient has a family history of diabetes, or my patient's father suffers from diabetes, or my patient's mother suffers from diabetes, or whatever you have taken in your history, just summarize it to a crisp, short sentence in which will include all the details, but it should not be, unnecessarily exaggerated. Family history is done. Personal history. If everything is normal, my patient has a normal diet. If everything is normal, my patient follows a mixed Indian diet and has normal appetite, normal sleep, normal bladder bowel movements. If it is not normal, what is not normal? You say that. My patient has a mixed Indian diet, is unable to sleep, has difficulty passing urine, has difficulty passing stool. All of these things you say. And then if it's a female, include the menstrual history, then explain about the addictions. My patient is a chronic smoker, or my patient has a habit of smoking and smokes these many cigarettes per day for these many years. My patient is an alcoholic and consumes this much amount of alcohol per day into these many years. So, and then you talk about the allergy history, and basically you're done with the presentation of the case history, which is done. Try to do it within like 4 to 5 lines max. For students studying in Odisha, but they are like non-residents of Odisha, so they are having problems communicating with the patients in Odia language, I have a detailed video where I have translated each of these questions into the Odia language that you can watch. I'll link it up at the end of this video, so make sure you go and watch that. All the best.